All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back here this Monday afternoon, July 26th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, welcome on back right here for this afternoon meeting. Great to see all of our cyber traders live inside the trading room, including Tony, Kathleen, Michael. Tony, I saw you just pick up a few cents on the AMC trade just now. And I got to give a shout out to Martha. Martha C, live inside Cyber Group, probably about 4 minutes before we press start here. She ended up closing out a trade just now on this stock that's on the screen, the BTBT trade. She got almost, I think, just about, do some quick math, but almost $2.50 per share. She was in right from 571, and we'll talk about this trade to begin. But must I say, Martha, congratulations alongside all of our traders that ended up catching a piece of the action here on this BTBT trade to begin. Now, really quickly, for all of us here live, what's the news on this stock? Is there any company-specific news on this one? Why is this moving up so much? Brian says Amazon. This isn't the Amazon ticker, Brian. Now, I say that because, well, there's no company-specific news, right? I was asking, why is the stock moving up? What's the news on this stock? There's no specific news related to BTBT, Bit Digital Inc. However, if you've been following crypto, even if you haven't been following crypto, you should know that Bitcoin's been pushing up and up all throughout the day, more so from pre-market and across the overnight hours. But with that, that's where we ended up seeing BTBT pump. We saw Riot pump with it. I'm currently long on Riot right from 34. I took 500 shares out before we press start. I'm still holding on to the other 500. Canon not moving up as sharply right now. Ended up making a nice pop after the open at least. If Riot's making a move up at the highs, you would like to think Mara's making a similar type of play right now too. What else did we have? I don't know. Check out some of the other maybe NFT related stocks, perhaps like BBIG from last week. Looks like this ended up making a nice pop after the open. They all ended up moving. All right, well, then let's re-ask the question. Why did Bitcoin go up? Is it just, volatility, people starting to buy again? That leads us to Amazon. So you knew I'd get to this at some point. If you've been following me here in this afternoon meeting every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll talk about Bitcoin. I started off by asking about company-specific news on BTBT. I mean, quick little lesson. It goes to show just because there isn't specific news on the company, that doesn't mean that the stock can't provide for a great trade. And that's what this ended up providing for us. But the news that came out, I ended up seeing this actually on Sunday morning, and I didn't really buy too much into it. I really didn't think that it was too legitimate, too official. Once Amazon makes it official, once they say it in a press release, then I'll buy it officially, buy the hype at least. But the headline that came out, City AM reported that Amazon is looking to accept Bitcoin payments by the end of the year. That's great, hype. That's great interest. If that's true, phenomenal. But just simply put, that little headline sparked this big rally in Bitcoin as the shorts covered massively, and we ended up seeing more people buy. And with that, we ended up seeing the Bitcoin mining and blockchain related affiliated stocks make a nice push early in the morning. So with that, what I'll do really quickly here is just talk about some of the big ones, like we were just saying, like Riot. I'm still in it, just ended up shaking down a tiny bit. You know what? I may look to just get out right here. It looks like a bit of a top has been building here. I have a stop set to take me out, break even on the second half anyway. You know what? I'll hold on anyway. I was calling this out from earlier today, saying how good of a setup Riot was off the 34 level. It was a little choppy at first, but with Bitcoin popping, breaking higher, going into the early parts of the afternoon, for me, it was only a matter of time for this, to make its bigger move up. But hopefully there's a lot more left to it. Oftentimes with these Bitcoin affiliated or blockchain affiliated stocks, they often, I hate to say it, often don't make that big successful second squeeze going into the market close. Oftentimes when we see a stock at or near the highs of the day, we get really giddy about it. We say, wow, the stock really has a better chance of making an even cleaner push going into the final hour's worth of trading. For these, Bitcoin related stocks, we've rarely seen that happen, if ever at all. So you know what? I took a bit of a haircut on my profit on the second half of my shares. I'm just going to get out. I got out right on the bid at 34.21 on the second half of my Riot position. For right now, I'll put it on our list, at least the Riot stock. If you prefer Mara over Riot, no problem with that. At least between Riot and then BTBT, we'll put both on our watch list for the afternoon. Doesn't mean that they're guaranteed to pop up, right? We'll keep them in mind still. If they end up continuing to dump off, then perhaps they'll be better shorts, as BTBT is actually easy to borrow, and I believe Riot is as well. Happy I got out, actually, where I did. All right, you know what I'll do? I'll break out the Bitcoin chart just at the end of it all. What we'll do really quickly is just go right from top to bottom. Otherwise, go across the gainers and losers. I always like to save the Bitcoin chart for the very end, but obviously that's the reason why we're seeing a lot of these on the gainers list to begin. So I'll come back to that at the end, folks. For right now, we'll keep it going, though. The time trade I'm in right now. I'm in right from 167, where it's being traded at currently. I have a stop set to take me out at 162, I believe. 161 is my limit price. But for right now, I mean, hey, just because I'm in it doesn't mean I'm going to put this on our list. It's a level 1 stock, so it's at least low risk in that regard. But the stock ended up making a nice pop in pre-market, ended up taking a damn long time to make this run that we ended up catching going into the late morning, early onsets of the afternoon. Now, the news on this stock I do like. I mean, that's the reason why I'm still interested in this trade. The fact that it's still kind of building support, great liquidity, tight spread, it's cheap, all of that I love. But, you know, Fausto jokes about this every now and then, because we'll see a stock run up and up and up all throughout the day. And, you know, not knowing what the headline is, he'll just say, like, jokingly, like, what they do, like cure cancer? Like, what they do, come out with the treatment for cancer? Well, that's what this company did. I mean, it's to say that TYME granted, or they were granted, a U.S. patent claims covering the use of their drug delivery method to treat cancer. That's the headline that came out. I'm sure there's a couple of other more detailed snippets to it. Looks like metabolomic technology platform. The patent involves a targeted delivery of therapeutics to cancer cells. That's all I got there. But, you know, hey, for right now, we'll see if this can make a second pop, or perhaps even third pop into the afternoon. I'll come back to this at the very end. We'll continue going from top to bottom. We'll come back to this time trade at the end. If it ends up hitting 162, then I'll be stopped out of my trade here. This NCTY making a nice run so far. Now, this was a stock that we ended up catching more so in the beginning of this year. If you folks that were in the trading room at the time recall, we ended up trading this stock going back into January, February, March, just sporadically as it pumped up from like 10, 11 bucks where it's at now, all the way up towards over 70. I mean, we catch that type of trade every now and then, probably like a couple times a month, really. But this stock in particular, we ended up catching itself back in January. The news out on this stock, there's no news. It says that just trading higher, not seeing any company specific news to justify the price action in this stock. Man, just like I said before, we don't need to have company specific news in order to trade a stock. And if you ended up sitting on your hands for that reason alone on this trade, you ended up missing a massive opportunity. So for right now, it's at the highs, still near the highs. You know, liquidity a little thin and big spreads, so be careful of that. But put this on our list for right now. The NXTD trade, I was pretty excited to put on our list. Now, at this point, though, I don't really think that we're going to. I mean, ended up making a nice pop going into like 1:30, 2 o'clock Eastern time, pop from like 90 cents, 85 cents, popped like 50 cents higher. Moved up to a high of the day of like 139, 140, and then ended up dumping back down. Hasn't even tested one support yet. So I feel like this is only going to continue to drop. I mean, good stock in terms of level 3, but just for right now, I'd want to see a little bit more out of this trade. All right, so BTBT. Michael says it just popped higher right now. Are you kidding me? Wow, look at this go. Sheesh, the BTBT trade. I mean, I said we're going to keep this on our list in hopes of this type of move, but damn, I guess it came much sooner than expected. And with that, maybe we'll check out the other Bitcoin-related stocks. Here's one that kind of came out recently in the last few months as an IPO. Or maybe even at this point, maybe the last 6 months, back from beginning of this year. We haven't traded this one too frequently, but today it was on the gainers list and near the top. So we had our interest in this stock. The BTBT took our focus though, but this BitF trade, Bitfarms, another mining related stock, but you know what? It's trying to push up or at least hold support, make a higher low, and hopefully pop up higher going into the afternoon. So I'll come back to it at the end. I'll keep this on the side list with the time trade. All right, here's the leader of all the Bitcoin stocks. Way too expensive for us to day trade. MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor. I've been talking about them since practically like August, September of last year, and they were big into Bitcoin well before that time. It's just to see the stock make the exact type of move here that Ride and Mara did, dump back down. You might want to keep your eye on this, maybe as a swing trade of some sort. And with that, perhaps, and yep, Riot pushing back up a little bit. That's fine. I'll get back in on this trade later if it gives me the opportunity to. Definitely keep it on our list for right now. HUT, H-U-T. I've never seen this ticker before. I guess I know why. It's another mining stock. I'm not too familiar with this one in particular, but I could tell it's a mining stock. Just says it in the name. HUT H Mining Corp ended up making practically the same type of run up as BitF and BTBT and so forth. But yeah, for right now, still holding strong. Good liquidity on the book, on the way up towards major resistance. I would assume off of 5. I'll write this on the side. I'll come back to this at the end too. I do like this one the most out of the 3 we have kind of on the proverbial side list. Oh, I forgot about this one, GRNQ. We ended up trading this stock. I'll be honest, I can't give you the date because the daily chart's so wacky here. I'd probably say it would be right here on this day where it closed the same price as it's open. It pumped up from 215 to 225. Unfortunately, dumped back down here. Also on this day, made a similar type of pump and dump type of move. This stock has been affiliated with Bitcoin as well, but it ended up making that pop and dump off right away after. I'm not too keen on that. SOS, another one. So this one looking a little bit more interesting, still pushing up pretty nicely up to 3. We ended up trading this stock back on Friday of last week, did all right on it. So I'll put this on our main list, the SOS trade. Good level 1 stock. IMV. This was from the morning. This ended up dumping off pretty quickly. I think there's another one that we'll catch coming up pretty soon. I don't even know if it's up enough. The DYNT trade. I'm actually in on this trade right now from 126. I got in earlier, hopeful for a bounce up. Had an iceberg there, so when it broke under and over from around 124, 125 level, I ended up jumping in, but it's done jack since. So, I'm going to hang on to this trade. If it hits 125, I'll likely just jump ship and get out. I don't know. This one I'm not too keen on. And the IMV, I mean, both of these looked so good in pre-market, at least in terms of their activity, that we would hope to see a bit of a bounce going into the late morning, the early parts of the afternoon. This one ended up making a bit of a bounce from $2, but that DYNT barely did anything and back down to the lows right now. So I'll be honest, it's not looking good for either of them. All right, so keep it going. Express here, EXPR, meme stock, Reddit stock, however you may like to, phrase it. Express popped after the market opened up. More so though, ended up making this big spike going into 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Ended up popping seemingly from the high of the day off 509, 510. Topped off practically under 550, 549 the HOD. Check out AMC really quick. This thing's so choppy today. Ended up doing all right on it from the 38 level earlier today, but afterwards, it was a mess. Trading the 50-cent levels and whole numbers pretty nicely as it's kind of holding under 40 for the meantime. Neither of these, I don't know. Neither of these I'm not really too keen on putting on our main list just yet. I mean, Express, not bad spread. Good order book. We'll see what else we got. I mean, in terms of activity, this TCAT trade looks a hell of a lot better right now, at least. So this is another, not to say Bitcoin-related stock, more of the digital art, the NFTs, and all of that came out earlier this year too. YVR, I think, was another one. Was it YVR or YGR? YVR. That one's not doing anything right now, but the TCAT trade is. That one I do like. Maybe OCG. That was another one that was kind of in the same business as TCAT. Up 6.5%, but not as much activity right now compared to this. So TCAT will make the cut. Got Mitch on YouTube asking about the SOS trade. Joining a bit late. I ended up going over that SOS trade just a bit earlier. But as we keep going, we're going to find some other Bitcoin-related stocks. And this EBON one is another one that we ended up trading more so going back into February and March of this year. It's up to 250 right now, the HOD now. So I'm going to kind of group all of these Bitcoin stocks together. We'll kind of keep them on the side. The two that we have on the main list, or maybe three, BTBT, Riot, and the SOS trade. All three of those made the actual cut. We'll come back to all these other Bitcoin stocks at the end and kind of cherry pick which ones look the best. Canon we're more familiar with. Maybe I'll put this on our main list with Riot and SOS and BTBT. It's also at the highs, looking pretty choppy of late, but trying to make the pop right now. All right, so we'll kind of just skim through right now, folks. Just some other familiar names across the last few trading days, like the AHPI stock, SPRT, which did pretty nice for us, at least going into the market open, ended up dumping off right away after from that point. The Mattel trade, wow, look at this at the high of the day right now. Pretty surprising. I didn't see this stock until right this very second. So I don't know if this is earnings based or any other news related, but let's see. Yeah, it looks like Mattel shares trading higher in sympathy with peer Hasbro, which reported better than expected Q2 results. I think Hasbro is more expensive, if I'm not mistaken. HAS is the ticker. Yeah. Nah, pass on it for right now. That Mattel trade looks like it had a decent showing, though, today. And Coinbase a little too expensive for us as a day trade. Man, this BTU's been on a huge roll, and I've been saying that across the last 2.5 weeks now at this point. The stock ended up making a huge run for us going back into the end of June or early July. Sans this big drop-off day, this thing has been on a huge tear, and right now it's back to the highs. So rhymes with CTU, BTU, we'll put on our list. All right, I'll keep it going. See any other familiar names here? We'll just check them out pretty quick. Then we'll hop over to the losers side. I don't really see as much familiar names on the losers, perhaps sans the education stocks. This FTFT, if I'm not mistaken, is also affiliated to Bitcoin mining. It's at the HOD right now. High of the day right now. Had a lot of pre-market activity here, this is. All right, we'll add it to the side. We'll come back to all these, other Bitcoin stocks at the end. All right, so let's hop over to the losers list here, see what we got on this side of the field, and check out the ones that are easy to borrow, but perhaps are down big, like this DAO stock. Liquidity kind of thin on the book. It's kind of flat. It's near the lows, which I like, and also shortable, but we'll see what else we can get here. The EDU trade, it was pretty choppy from Friday before it ended up actually making a nice pop and run going into the very last few minutes of the day. I know the Fausto talked about that this morning during the morning meeting. Right now, though, this stock's so choppy. It's just too flat. Not really much of an interest for us right now. Got you, COE, same thing. TAL, you can say maybe if it could break support here, it could be a potential short, but don't really feel a need to put any of those on our main list for the meantime, folks. And really, otherwise, I see a bunch of other stocks that are easy to borrow, but more so ETFs or just stocks that trade very low volume on a day-to-day basis. Check out this GDS maybe. Nah. All right, I'm going to grab Bitcoin chart at the end, folks. Don't worry about that, but let me know if there's anything else that you see that's up or down more than 5%. Canon put on our main list. It has been. That one's on our list for right now. New high of the day on the Canon stock. Just got that from Benzinga Pro. SOS just broke 3, Norman says here. Yeah, that one's on our list still. That one looks pretty strong for right now. James asking about the TYME trade. Yeah, I talked about the TYME trade just before. It hasn't done much since I ended up just jumping in and out fast. But if it ends up beginning to push back up, I'll try and re-enter this trade. Right now, we'll keep it on the side because it's had a really tough time making a clean break over that 167 level. That's the opening bell print from this morning. If it breaks that, then I'll say it's a better trade. But if it doesn't, pass. All right, we'll check out YouTube and Facebook Live here. Got one of us joining today asking about the ITRM stock. Holy smokes, what happened to this thing? Wow, I certainly skipped over this as I went from the top of the losers list down. Can't short it, so that's first thing. But secondly, I mean, hey, it's down enough to where maybe earlier we could have hoped for a dead cat bounce, some sort of short covering opportunity where this makes a temporary spike. Really quick, I'm just keen on looking for the news here. What's the news on this ITRM? Around 44%. We've traded the stock in the past too. That's why I'm saying, like, what's up with this? Looks like they ended up receiving a complete response letter from the FDA for one of their drugs, and it looks like the FDA requests at least one additional trial. That wasn't really too well received by investors. Looks like ended up making a huge drop off early in pre-market. It looks like it made a small little squeak up here, but this thing's garbage right now. All right, Bonnie, I'm going to write all of the earnings for tonight as soon as I'm done with this meeting. Just leave me to that. I got the whole list from Benzinga Pro, so don't worry. I'll just take care of that just once we finish up this meeting. That's all. All right, but otherwise, folks, let me know if there's anything else as you let me know, or perhaps not let me know. Either way, I'll drag up Bitcoin chart here because I want to go over this really quickly. Very happy to be wrong because I told you here, this vertical line back from Friday last week, I thought that we would see this begin to pull back a little bit more towards the 100 and 200 EMAs, consolidate, and then perhaps pop and break out. I'd love to be wrong here. Just probably maybe a couple hours after we finished up the market day, Bitcoin just continued to pop, rebroke over the 500, and finally ended up making the run that we were hoping for back here. This was the last real instance where this ended up making a run up to and test of the 500 EMA on the hourly chart. So I wanted to show that to begin because I'm going to switch over to the 6 hour here because when this ended up failing to pop the 500 on the hourly, I told you it was going to come back down and drop off hard. And my hope at that point in time, right here, it was to see it make a closer run up to the 500 EMA on the 6 hour chart, right? That was my whole thought process. And when it ended up failing to do that and came back down, I said, all right, well, we're probably going to see this accumulate a little bit more, but look at this now. It's finally popping up towards the 500 EMA. This is the 6 hour chart. I like to use the hourly, the 6 hour charts, the daily, and then the weekly, and the monthly too. But I'm not as focused on a shorter term chart when we're more focused on kind of a buy and hold type deal with Bitcoin in particular. But it's to say from this point, I mean, I'm expecting this to drop off, pull back, retrace, and then eventually shoot up much higher over time. But if that Amazon news is legitimate, if it becomes official, then I don't think we're going to see too many big pullbacks from this point forward before these real big explosions. That's all. All right, Franny asking here in the trading room, Josh, are we going to invest in Hood? You are responsible for your own trading decisions. I want you to know that, Franny, and I say that to anybody else. Now, Hood, I don't know what the ticker is. HOOD? You mean good? I don't know what HOOD is. Oh, it's an IPO? I don't know. IPOs, we don't really trade too frequent unless if it has a really high float or just trades a lot of volume coming off its first day. A couple of those like Wish, DD, Palantir from last year, those were all IPOs that traded a hell of a lot of volume right out the gate, and we knew that we'd be more interested in those stocks over time. So if it doesn't really have, what do I say? If it doesn't really have a high valuation, and if it's like, let's say if it has a high valuation and the IPO price is relatively cheap, I'll be pretty interested. Otherwise, I got to see a lot out of the stock for it to gain my trust. Don't really look to trade IPOs too frequent. Didn't really trade Coinbase too much when it came out, right? All right, what about KRUS from YouTube right now as well? This is where I will tell you, alongside any one of us on YouTube, please join us in our trading room. Because if you're looking to trade a ticker like this KRUS trade, you're not going to be able to follow any real volume at all. And then otherwise, if you're trying to follow volume and use our strategy on a stock like this, you're not going to go too far. So please, for any one of us on social media, if you've yet to join us inside our trading room, that is, feel free to do so. Come right to our trading room by going right to the link on the banner below on the stream just to get yourself started. But yeah, this KRUS, this thing is garbage. This thing is really bad. All right, so let's cherry pick the ones I put on the side list, right? The time trade looking like it's holding under 167, so I'm going to pass on that for right now. Bitfarms, this was one that we kind of kept on the side list, seeing if it could pop up higher going into the end of the meeting. It has yet to do so, and for right now, we'll keep it on the side. If it does pop, then we'll call it out. HUT, same thing. EBON, probably, same thing. And FTFT, this one's popping up a little bit more from the last time I looked at it. I was looking at this when it was at like, what, 267, 268, and popped up a little bit here. I'll slip this on at the end, this FTFT trade. All right, Michael, nice catch on BTBT. He ended up going short. So just like I say all the time, folks, if a stock fails to break higher, if it is shortable at least, if it ends up breaking support, it could be worth the opportunity on the way down. Michael ended up picking up 31 cents on his short trade just here. Nice catch. And hey, I'll tell you what, for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, we're going to call it right now. I know that we have class ahead, the Phase 3 stock course, Fausto's advanced live trading class coming up right in about the next 10 or so minutes. So for all of us inside Cyber Group that have access to that class, make sure that you folks click the link that Rich just posted in the chat board for you to get inside the class. Make sure that you're good to go for Fausto for 3:05 Eastern time. Otherwise, you'll be sticking with me going into the market close here, right? So I'll be back on the mic right around 3:30. Rich will be on pretty shortly himself, and we'll go from there, folks. All right, I'll talk to you all soon.